Hello and welcome back to the R.I.P podcast. I'm your host Charlie Horner. Joined me once again is Kieran Lawler. How are you doing?
I'm alright, my friend. I'm alright. How are you?
I'm not too bad, we're back. It's the Thursday team talk. We had a bit of a nightmare on Monday, Tuesday, whenever it was. We recorded the post-match Monday and me and my terrible brain forgot to upload it. So brilliant. Genius work from Charlie once again. But we're back, and this, if you're hearing this, then
he's actually remembered.
Yeah, I remembered it, so it's great. But we thought the past week there's not been too many massive stories in terms of on the pitch. It's been more off the pitch issues to discuss this week, so we thought we'd take a look at club ownership in the light of the terrible events that have occurred very close to us. Obviously Bury Football Club have been expelled from the EFL, and Bolton were in a similar predicament, but they have been saved from expulsion by Football Ventures, who were talking to my friend who's a Bolton fan. Sounds like a scamming service, doesn't it? Football Ventures. Oh, we need to buy a football club. What should we call it? Football Ventures.
It does.
I'm pretty sure Bolton fans will take whoever will buy them at this point, scam or not.
That's a dangerous. That's a dangerous place to go because.
Yeah, but it's all good. It's all good. But let's.
That does sound like a company I'd make up when I'm out of names.
Yeah.
So what do you football? I like travelling. Football Ventures. Yeah.
Oh. But yeah, let's hope and pray that Bolton.
They made their website on Wix. Just say it.
Nothing to do with Wix. We're not sponsored.
If you want
to sponsor us, just get in touch. But no, let's talk about Bury a little bit. Let's bring get a bit serious now, because obviously we're both from Bury.
Yeah.
Born and bred.
Yeah. Proud of where I'm from. It's not the greatest of places, but we're proud, and we're proud of where we're from, and we're happy to be represented or formally represented by Bury FC.
Yeah.
And it was a part of the community.
It was, and it still is. It still is, although it's not a part of the league. I think the community has come together in these last few months, especially. And they don't have the biggest fan base in the world.
No,
but
it's a small town, so
yeah, they're not. But it's a loyal fan base. I mean, we go down every now and again.
Yeah, we
obviously don't support them, but we go to a couple of games a year just to see how they're doing, check in.
I was going to say, I know people say support your local teams, but we personally have took different paths. You support Sunderland, and I support Hull. That's just
both have had different reasons for that, but
yeah, basically there was a dartboard and I threw. But yeah, we've always kept our eye on the local teams. For example, a Bury, a Rochdale, even to a further extent Oldham, and even Bolton. Because they're not too far away.
Yeah.
When this news came out, it did hit us as a shock, because we even did education about literally around the corner from Gig Lane.
You could pretty much see Gig Lane from college. We were literally around the corner, so you'd always see a Bury fan wearing the shirt or a scarf or something, just walking out of college. I'd imagine you'd have seen Kenny in the media. You'd see him in Bury Town Centre walking through the Millgate or whatever, always in his scarf and whatnot.
Plenty of Bury fans, because I used to work in the Millgate, and
yeah.
There's plenty of Bury fans, and there's plenty of people with the coats, with the t-shirts, with the scarves, and I feel I never personally work Saturdays because I want to watch the football, with long story short, but I feel like if you're around Bury Town Centre on a match day, the vibe it's a good vibe. It's what people, I don't want to say it's what they live for, but I know personally, I can't wait for Saturdays to come.
Yeah.
And I feel like for the Bury community, it was can't wait to go watch the boys on Saturday. And for me, as I said to you, the biggie, I know it's been a long-term issue at that club, but to get promoted last year and be on the ultimate high to this season where you are on the ultimate low, it must be devastating.
Yeah, and a big props must go to that Bury squad of last season, because they got promoted without even being paid to be promoted. They didn't get a single penny for, I think they haven't been paid since January. So to still keep up the performances that they put in and get promoted despite all the hardship is unbelievable. And we tip our hat to them. Obviously, I think a lot of you would have seen the interviews with Stephen Dawson. He's been on TalkSport, Sky Sports. He's done all the rounds of the media companies doing interviews, because he's been really badly affected by the closure of Bury, because he's having to sell his house because he can't afford his mortgage anymore because he's not being paid. It's not the glamorous lifestyle of football in the Premier League, where you've got enough money to last you a lifetime. These players are on good money, but it's not
It's like that supply.
it's not superstar money. Do you know what I mean? It's just devastating to see. And I know, well, this has been going on for multiple ownerships. It all started with Stuart Day back in the day.
God's sake.
It's been going around. I think he took over the club in 2013, and there was even historical financial issues. I know they staved off administration in 2002. But in 2013, Stuart Day took over with this ambitious plan to get Bury in the Championship. And obviously, an ambitious owner comes in, splashes the cash a bit, not knowing the full extent and the consequences of splashing that cash.
It's one of them naive, and going with a bit of blind ambition. It's at the time it seems great if you're if you're a fan, and because we always, how much would we love our clubs to go and spend 10 million on 7 different players and get promoted, or that's the ambition anyway. But then come 3 seasons, like we've seen it with people that were in the Premier League and they've spent big, or they've spent too much, and it happened to you and you drop down, and then you drop down. We'll get onto it later.
We'll talk about each of our experiences with poor ownership a little bit later on.
It's just having that ambition, but you've got to also be a realist. You've got to look at the consequences. And if back then, when he would have took over, if he'd have looked at the books, and if he was good with the finances, this wouldn't have been a situation that we're in now. Yeah,
you've got to be, especially in the lower leagues of English football, you've got to be very careful, because it's not a very lucrative business to be in. And so Stuart Day and his board were splashing the cash. They couldn't sustain the amounts of money that were paying these players, double figure into the thousands for players in League 1 and League 2. It's just not sustainable, as Sunderland have seen this last year, having to cut their wage bill. But it's just been going on for so long. I know Jermaine Beckford's recently retired. He was on £5,000 a week in League 2. It's ridiculous mismanagement, overspending, and it's just reached the point where
call up to them.
Yeah. So Stuart Day decided to sell the club in December. He sold to a businessman from Cheshire called Steve Dale. And Steve Dale was coming in, and his number one mission was to save Bury Football Club, because the finances were all over the shop. There was mismanagement. We couldn't pay the players. We need someone to come in and save Bury Football Club, keep them afloat, stop them from going into administration or liquidation. So he bought the club for £1, took on the debts, and has said to the players, "Don't worry, everything's going to be fine." All the staff, "Don't worry, everything's going to be fine." Now, I don't think people realise this at the time, but it's since come out that Steve Dale created a separate holding company. So the holding company of Bury is called Bury Leisure. Now, Steve Dale then opened a company called Bury Heritage to hold Bury Football Club. it's since come out that Bury Heritage had assets stripped Bury Leisure of all the assets, including the club trophies that they've won like nearly 100 years ago.
The 2 FA Cups.
Yeah, so Steve Dale has asset stripped Bury to the point of no return. There's a £3 million debt on the stadium, which, as the owner of the football club, he could now sell on, paid off the debt of the stadium, and make a quick buck out of the club. So this is a man who has maliciously come in and destroyed a club for his own financial gain, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many, because he now.
This isn't the first time, because he's liquidated a lot of companies. I
saw
it. Isn't it 38 out of 54 or something along those lines?
It's even more than that. He's been a part of 53 companies.
That's the one.
42 have liquidated. So this is no new thing for him.
But this is the part where I bring up to you this EFL fit and proper test, which we've spoke about between each other. And you've got to think, if there's one man that you don't trust taking over a football club, it might be a man who has a history of 30 or 40 plus liquidations in his companies. I don't want that for my football club, and I don't like our owners at all. But how can that be fit and proper to take over a football club and save it from liquidation when he has a history of doing the complete opposite?
Yeah. Now, it turns out the EFL never did a fit and proper persons test on Steve Dale.
Of course they didn't.
Because they said, no, we just need someone, they need a change of ownership, they need to do it quick so this football club can be saved. So obviously no real checks were done, the due diligence wasn't done properly, so Bury are in the situation they are in now, which is they have been expelled from the Football League because they don't have the funds to fund themselves for the rest of the season, which is a huge shame. They've been kicked out of the FA Cup, of course. The one thing is that Bury Football Club is still very much still a business, it's still running. How long for, I don't know. Apparently there's people who want to come in and save it. I know there's an international consortium who have said to the EFL they've got £7 million in the bank.
I was about to say, I feel like there was a bid of £7 million, but I think
that's not £7 million bid to buy the club.
No,
that's saying they have off £7 million in the bank to help with the debts. Yeah,
to pay off whatever they need to pay off. But I feel like because of this story, there's more than one person that wants to help out. I think there was 3 people.
Oh no. Yeah, the EFL addressed this.
Oh, go
on. Because there was this big thing that the EFL were getting a load of slack for not letting these 3 other bids be acknowledged. They said they weren't bids. It was just an email of someone saying, "I'll take it," and that's not a bid. That's not an offer. That's just
if you need someone. If you need someone, I'm here.
Yeah, that's just an email at the last minute. There's nothing concrete about that. There's nothing you can do. Now, the EFL, of course, have got to come under a lot of criticism, but for that, you've got to say they did all they can. They give so many deadlines, so many extensions to the deadline for Bury and Steve Dale to sell the club and prove that he has the funds. He couldn't do it. He didn't do it. So I'm sorry, but that's the rules.
The only place they can take blame is the original not checking back on Steve Dale. That is a big factor in why they've gone bust or they've been expelled from the EFL. But I think Steve Dale for me is the main. Well, it's kind of Dale and Day put together.
Yeah.
It's like
it's a mixture of the two.
It's like it's a dichotomy of just absolute pathetic ownership. I'm sorry.
It's
absolute clowns taking over football teams with stupid, unrealistic ambitions, putting unrealistic funds in, and
funds that they don't really have.
Before it goes bust, they go, well, do you know what? I don't know what to do. I don't know how this has happened.
Oh,
I'm trying not to swear because they are absolute clowns in my opinion.
And it's just a shame because, like we say, there's so many people now without a football. Well, they're not going to have a football club to support on a Saturday. And
I think they will. I think they will be. They will come back again.
I don't. Yeah, I think the company will. I think Bury Football Club will cease to exist very soon, and they'll make the fans will come as a Phoenix club like AFC Bury 2020 or something and start again. As
kind of
always,
like North Ferriby.
As always happens with these clubs, yeah, they'll start from the bottom of the pyramid and.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Over the next however many years, they'll attempt to rise up the leagues again.
But one hell of a story.
Yeah.
And do you know what I think? In a way, if they do rise as a Phoenix club and they come back and they do it right, them fans deserve that. They really do. They deserve to be treated with proper respect. Because the thing is with the owners, some, I'd say, borderline majority of it, they don't care about the fans. You know, you get the odd ones that do, but they're all about the money and the finances. Sorry. And that's why businessmen taking over football, people have always had an issue with when they've had no history of what it means to take over a football club.
Well, it was like Steve Dale. He said in an interview with BBC 5 Live, he said, I don't go to Bury. I didn't know there was a football club in Bury. The Bury fans need to stop being so loud and thuggish after a few pints. They need to, I could easily wash my hands with Bury and never go back. These sort of things where it goes, well, why did you buy the club in the first place? Why are you getting involved with an area that you don't like, with people that you don't care about, for a town which you didn't even know had a football club? Well, what are you doing? What's the point? I really don't understand.
It all comes back to what football is heading to. It's money. You know, for me, I think he saw it as a way to not have to inject anything, you know, or very minimal. And for example, I feel like he looks at the past and just goes, do you know what? I'm not going to care if they go out of business. It wasn't my fault, and
yeah,
he doesn't have to take the blame, you know, and he can shell it on someone else and just say, well, you know, I never had to put anything in. I've not lost any money, even though I don't think he has any money. Like,
he's gonna make a lot of money. If he can sell the land
off this, yes. But I mean, in terms of, I remember we were talking the other day, and we was like, he's trying. I can't. I'm gonna start ranting and raving. Take me away, Charles.
Let's move on to a bit of brighter news because Bolton Wanderers have been saved.
Sorry, speaking of brighter news though, I remember the hope that Bury fans had when was it CNN Sporting Risk?
Yeah,
looked like they were taking over, but it
changed in the space of 12 hours. They were cleaning up the ground. There was volunteers going help clean up the stadium, and then 12 hours later they pulled out and they didn't have a football club. Crazy, but yeah.
Sorry, moving on.
Bolton Wanderers have been saved at the 11th hour. They too had the 5 PM deadline.
By my new website, which is available on footballventureswix.co.uk.
Which was a deal that was supposed to be complete last week, but a certain Mr. Ken Anderson blocked the deal from going through because he wouldn't sign the papers. What? He's another clown.
Yeah, there's plenty of them out there.
But they finally got the deal over the line, and Football Ventures are the new owners of Bolton Football Club, and it's great news.
Yes.
Yes, I'm afraid it might be a little too late to save the season now. As yeah, unless
the transfer window is not over.
Well, the transfer window isn't short, but they're gonna have to get a few players in the next week, few days.
I don't know how long. You're the one.
September the 2nd, so it's another week or so.
About 4 days, 5 days.
Yeah.
Something like that. So, but for me, I do think
Monday.
I think if you are Football Ventures Limited, or you know, if that is your real name, you know, you've got to kind of look at this season as we've been talking, like during I think it was post-match, we were like, oh, it's a free hit. John, this season, sadly, I think you're going to have to sacrifice it unless you pull off a monumental transfer window. Sign every free agent under the sun.
Well, that's it. You're gonna have to get some free agents in who are, you know, senior players. That I think that's a must.
But you've also you've also not got to go stupid. You've got to look at what the state the club has been in. And
but it's a case of we need players. You can't be a football club without senior players. They're going to have to get...
They've got one.
I mean...
I wonder if... Do you know the players that, for example, left because of the Bolton situation and the senior players refused to play? How many of them are left? Do you know?
None.
Would they already go? Because I know they were refusing to play.
The last one was off Tuma.
I was going to say...
He's gone to Charlton.
And he's just gone now. I was going to say, because I know we took McGuinness and he was one of the last.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're all gone.
James Weir, he's the only one.
I mean, he's not really a senior player. How many senior games has he played?
Not many for us.
That's what and he didn't play anything in United, so...
Yeah.
I think he's still... I know he's not a youth player age, but he still is in experience.
Hey, look, they're desperate for senior players. We'll give them one, okay? Let's give them one.
For me, I don't know. They just need to get in a 10 free agents, senior players, experienced League One players, because otherwise it's just going to keep the 5-0s are going to keep coming in, and no one wants to see that because it brings the competition into disrepute.
Yeah.
Because if you've got a team getting thumped 5-0 every week, it's just you may as well not even play. It's just an easy 3 points. It does bring the competition into disrepute. So I'd just say get as many free agents in, League One experience. They don't have to be world beaters, but as long as they've, experienced.
Even a couple of League Two, it depends on what you can get.
That's it. Well, I know Harry Brockbank is a very good young player. They've still got him. He's playing every week for them at the minute, and he's someone you can build a team around. So if you just they just need players in, and I know Football Ventures will be working tirelessly on that at the minute. I'd imagine and they're also going to have to get in a manager, or they're going to have to use a caretaker. I don't know, because Phil Parkinson left on the weekend with I'm going to admit probably with the thought in his head that they weren't going to survive. Or the fact that he hasn't been paid for nearly a year.
Yeah, but this is what I mean, because they wouldn't have had an owner, so he wouldn't have been paid, but he would have seen the club go and he would have been out of a job anyway. So sadly, it's happiness for Bolton, but also they can't expect things to change within the space of...
No, well, it never was going to anyway, was it? It was,
I think relegation is on the cards.
Yeah, it's just a case of get some players and have a team to watch every week. And what more do you want?
I honestly...
As long as you've got a club to watch, it's fine. We're just seeing live pictures here of Jason Lowe talking to Sky Sports here. But
so there's a senior player, Jason Lowe.
I'm guessing is he coming back? I don't know. I guess we'll have to watch that interview later and see what the crack is with that. But
this is the thing though, Bolton, for example, even though this season is going to be, relegation, pretty much no matter what, barring a minor miracle, Bury fans would love just to have their team to watch. It's sad that they both came at the same time, and they both came. It was always going to happen, but it was dark, and one of them's come out of the light in Bolton, which it's better than none of them, but I would have loved to have seen both of them survive.
Yeah, but it's not even just those two clubs. Let's just think in recent years of the amount of teams that have been in financial or ownership ruin.
Coventry.
I can think of Coventry, Sunderland, Hull, Portsmouth, Charlton, Port Vale,
Notts County.
Yeah, there's so many throughout the Football League. It's just a disgrace because there needs to be an independent regulatory board of the football ownership and the way it's run, because the EFL can't do it.
No.
Andy Holt's got a great idea of this. Andy Holt, the owner and chairman of Accrington Stanley, I'd definitely recommend following him on Twitter. I've followed him ever since Sunderland got relegated, and I was following stuff to do with League One, and he really stands out as someone who is very, very much a part of trying to be the solution. He comes up with some fantastic ideas of making football clubs part of the community, which is what it's supposed to be. having an independent regulatory board of football owners is definitely a step in the right direction, in my opinion.
Oh, it would be indeed, yeah.
But let's talk about our experiences with ownership, because your club Hull have got very controversial owners. We now have a very safe pair of hands and potentially have got something very exciting on the horizon. But we've also had, I think that a lot of Sunderland fans forget this, but a year ago we could have been the next Bolton, the next Bury, because we were on the brink of administration had Stuart Donald and co not came and taken over. But let's start a little bit with Hull, because I think that story is a little bit more straightforward.
Yeah, because to be fair, when the albums came in, I've got to admit, we were thankful. You know, we'd been took over, they'd invested, and it was a honeymoon period. We'd made it to the Premier League. And then something changed. And in the past few years, he has he doesn't come to the games anymore. You know, and I get that might be because of illness, and we've got to talk to EHAP more than SM anymore. But it's been a change in attitude. They refuses to invest, and he wants to be rid of us, is basically long story short. And we've been up for sale for, I think, 3 or 4 years now. I think since the time we dropped down from the Premier League, so I think it may have been 3 years now. The year before we got...
The year before you got relegated. So
yeah, so 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
So we've been up for sale. We were close with a Chinese consortium at a point, but they wouldn't meet his valuation of 50 million. I think his valuation is...
Well, that's fair enough, I think.
Of us, I think. So it wasn't met. But the thing is, I think he'd also try and rinse every penny what he can, because that's just the way it goes. But that never came to fruition, which it's unfortunate, because I'd love nothing more than to be rid of the Alams. But for me, it's having an owner an owner that cares, an owner that invests, and an owner that feels like part of the club. And he is none of them three. And over the past few years, I remember that it will always stick with me. The quote he said, I think it was BBC Humberside or something. The quote he said, "The fans keep saying Alam out, so the checkbook isn't in." Which for me is like throwing your toys out of the pram and going, "Oh, the fans don't like me, that's it, I've had enough."
Yeah.
So for me, I'd love to be rid of them, but we're not in the worst scenario. For example, I don't think we're financially stable. Obviously, we've got debt. I think most football clubs do nowadays. But I think I look on us and I look at what's happened to Bury and Bolton at the moment, and it doesn't make me grateful by any means, because I hate the skin and bones of the Allen family. But it's not as bad as it could have been. At the moment, anyway. I still want to get taken over, but we're still for sale and no one wants us.
Yeah. My experience with financial ruin is it goes back quite a while, because Ellis Short first got involved in Sunderland in 2008. He bought a majority stake in Sunderland off the Drummondville consortium of Niall Quinn. So at the time, Niall Quinn was our owner, Sunderland legend, blah blah blah, and it was all great. Ellis Short comes in, and a little bit like you and the Alams, it's wow, an American billionaire has taken us over. This could be big.
It is a honeymoon period, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. And to be fair, you know, the signings of Ben, Jean, Welbeck on loan, Malbronk. We were bringing in. We built a good side and everything. Things started to turn sour in 2011, and this is where a lot of Sunderland fans say that was the turning point, and this is where everything that went wrong with Sunderland went wrong. First of all, he shunned Niall Quinn out of the club. He stayed on as chairman for a few years. He then left in 2011 due to differences with Ellis Short. He then sold Ben, Jean, Henderson, Malbronk, Mignolet. He got rid of that team that you know could have made it into Europe and everything. Then replaced our amazing front line of Ben, Jean, Welbeck with G, Connor Wickham and Bentner. So he's and we spent hardly anything on those players. So he's brought in all this money, and then spent peanuts on replacements. He was doing the bare minimum, and this has gone on for a while. Just spending money in the wrong people, the wrong players, buying players for big money and then selling them for nothing or letting them go on frees. The whole Adam Johnson scandal. It was just a massive amount of mismanagement, and he put us up for sale in 2016. Like the Lambs. Wanted 100 million. No one to pay it. We ran up debts of 180 million pounds, which is the biggest debt that a football club has gone in without going under. Double relegation, obviously. Decided not to invest any money. He wasn't putting a single penny back into the club anymore, whilst making £50 million losses a year. So you can imagine the amount of redundancies and the amount of cuts that the club have had to make. Summer of 2018, Sunderland are almost put into administration. But Stuart Donald, Charlie Methven and Juan Sartori come in. Stuart Donald, Charlie Methven are Oxford lads, football fans through and through. They're kind of the perfect owners you want, like you're talking about. They care about the club, football and the area. They've really taken to the area. So I've seen both sides of it. I've seen my club almost vanish. I've seen my club with owners that care, and I've seen a club legend be the owner. So I've really seen it all. And even before Niall Quinn, I remember Bob Murray was the owner, and he's a Sunderland lad. So I've really seen everything that you could in a football owner. But what I haven't seen, he's the 25th richest man in the world, which is potentially what's coming up next. So I'm really excited for that. But Ellis Shaw almost ran the club into the ground. Well, he did run the club into the ground. And I'm just grateful, and a lot of Sunderland fans are grateful for the work that's gone into the club over the last 14, 15 months. Because thanks to Stuart Donald and Charlie Methven and the people in the background, we have a club to support and a club to be proud of, players to be proud of, and beat Burnley last night, so give us the Premier League title now. That's what I say.
Yeah, no, it does seem like you're on an upwards trajectory. We've
had a roller coaster ride ever since I've supported Sunderland. I started going watching in 2004. It's been an absolute roller coaster. So,
this is why didn't we just support Man United or something, or City or
because,
Arsenal?
No.
This is the thing, when you support clubs in the lower divisions, I feel like you get more of these sorts of just up and down stories every single time.
That's it. We've been Premier League clubs, haven't we?
This is the thing, and you look at teams like, for example, if you supported Wigan, you were a Premier League club, and then you were down in League One, and then you're back up in
Portsmouth.
Yeah, it's such a yo-yo.
All the way up and down.
Yeah. But we'll talk. We've been on bad owners. For example, at the moment you've got good owners at Angel and the Devil.
Yeah.
But I will admit, I've got to admit, thank God that we're still alive. Financially. And but also one thing I will mention about the Elms, what I don't like is, for example, in that summer where we sold Harry Maguire and Andy Robertson for what now looks like extremely cheap, but then we didn't invest it back into the team and whatever else. But anyway, moving on. Some good owners. I personally, when I think of a good owner, Forest Green Rovers.
Yeah, Dale Vince.
Dale
Vince has done something brilliant now. He's got the club from the conference, or the National League, whatever it is, to the brink of League One, and he's kept to his principles.
I know.
He's the first carbon neutral club in Europe, might be the world.
I'd probably say so. I can't imagine.
So he's kept to his principles, and he's seen progress of the club. He's a man of the people. He's from Gloucestershire. So yeah, he's definitely up there.
I was going to say, immediately I turned to him because, for me, he does it the right way, and I appreciate it. And I'll be honest, before Forest Green got into the Football League, I doubt many had heard of them. Obviously, I know a few National League teams, so I had heard of them. But as you say, didn't they get to the playoffs last year?
Yeah.
And for me, they are on the. I think as they go up the leagues, they may need a bit of further investment from maybe another person. But as long as he stays the majority, I think I'd be happy to be a Forest Green Rovers fan.
Yeah, my favourite owner and chairman in the league, I've already mentioned, it's Andy Holt. Well, it's not, it's Stuart Donald. But if I'm not allowed to pick Stuart Donald because he's my own club, if I had to pick another club, it would be Andy Holt at Accrington Stanley.
Yeah.
Real community man, proper. If you listen to him talk, he's a proper Accrington lad. He's not using any jargon or anything. He's a proper football fan. He goes in the stands with the fans with a quick pint. He's a proper football lad. He's there with his proper Racky lad with his flat cap and everything. But he's gone into Accrington when they were in financial ruin. Couldn't pay the bills. A little bit like Bury and Bolton.
Yeah.
He came in, local businessman, sorted everything out, cleared the books, fixed the ground up. We went last season for the Sunderland match. Ground looks great now. He's built a new stand and everything.
I'm gonna say the stand we was in looked a bit.
Yeah, but the other stand adjacent to us wasn't there.
Nice.
That looks great. So he's really building something there. It's a proper community club. That's another place, Accrington, where they're proud about the football, a little bit like Bury, and he's really brought that football club together, and he's definitely one of the good guys in football. I just like chairmen who are open with the fans.
Yeah.
They talk to the fans. They're not afraid to tell the fans if anything's going wrong, what's going right.
That's part of the reason I don't like. EHAB comes out with a letter maybe once every 3 or 4 months saying an open letter to the fans. We're looking to build bridges. So what have we done? We've got rid of the membership scheme, but then kids have to pay about 30 quid to get in.
Yeah.
That's not building bridges with fans. That's pushing people away. And people talk about our attendances. I know I'm going on about Hull and this is not what we're talking about. But people moan about our attendances. It's stupid that is the way you have to buy tickets, and I'll go watch them no matter what, but I'm not a kid, and that is the reason we're so empty, is people are boycotting, people are sick of it.
Yeah.
So
that's the biggest difference that we've noticed at Sunderland is Ellis Short did 2 interviews in 10 years.
Exactly.
And that wasn't even with fans, that was with the club, very much scripted. The questions were, very much leaning towards him.
I was going to say, if he didn't like the question, he would have changed it.
Yeah. But now, Stuart Donald is on the R.I.P Report podcast every couple of months, popping in with the lads, answer any question they've got. He's not afraid to talk about any issues. That was, as soon as he bought the club, he left the stadium. Connor Bromley from the R.I.P Report picked him up in his Seat.
Mm-hmm.
Popped him over to a Sunderland uni, did an interview. He said, the seats are looking a bit pink. He said, right, come on then, we'll get the fans. We'll all go and change the seats, get some red seats in. And it's little things like that the fans really like. It's just the openness, and that's what football clubs and football club owners should be like.
And I feel like that's where you lose touch, but for me, you've got to think, you've got good owners, you've got bad owners, but then you've got the controversial owners in the middle. For example, I like to think of Stan Kroenke at Arsenal.
Yeah.
Because it's great ownership for him because he's making money every year. It's not great ownership for the fans who want to finally push back to where they used to be, back in the Vieira, the period.
He's great. He's a great businessman, and that's what I'll say about the Glazers as well. The great businessman. Well, less so the Glazers, more Stan Kroenke. Great businessman. Daniel Levy, I know he doesn't own it, but the owners of Tottenham, great business.
I was about to say, I actually think Tottenham's owners are good owners.
Yeah,
I put them in the good owners category.
But they're very good businessmen as well. There's a lot of good
negotiators, yeah.
Very good businessmen in especially in the Premier League. I know, especially Stan Kroenke, but they make massive profits every year. And there's actually a book I'm going to read about the takeover of Man City. And apparently that gives a really good insight into how great businessmen they are, not just investing, but being able to make money and build a model of football as well. But yeah, there's a lot of discontent in the Premier League about their owners. I'd just be a little bit more grateful that you've not only have you got a football club to watch, you've got a very, very good football club to watch.
And I was going to say, you've not got let's be fair, at that level, you've just not got to worry about the things, for example, we have to worry about and not use as much anymore. But obviously, it's always there in lurking in the darkness. Is that thought of going down? But we do see a lot of moaning about ownership, and you look up and down the Premier League, and it's moving more to the model of businessmen now and foreign investors from Malaysia and China, and
and this is the thing, I don't have a problem with it.
No,
as long as it's open with the fans. Because at the end of the day, football clubs are businesses.
Yeah,
that's
the thing.
That's the end of the day. The businesses, they're there to make money, but they're also there to serve the communities that they were built in. And I don't was the people can make as much money out of football clubs as they want, as long as they serve that community and they treat that community well.
As long as they don't lose sight of what it's there for. Like, I feel like owning the foot, it's always clouded by the financial side of things, and they lose the vision of what it means. And as I say, I don't mind for example, the Leicester owners. They came from, I think it's Thailand.
Thailand. They're the perfect example of foreign owners coming in and taking to the community perfectly.
I like to think originally, before he started making the kit red, I think Vincent Tan came in. He kind of understood because he was at the games. And that's the thing, most of the times I just want them to actually appear, watch, and just take it all in. It's great to own a business, or, for example, in this situation, a football team, but I want you to in it, you know what I mean? I don't want you to be sat in your office over in, I don't know, Uzbekistan, right? And not thinking about your team, just going, oh, how much profit did they make me this month? Oh, up 100,000, fantastic. You know, that's my thing.
Yeah, the thing is, and I think this is a good note to leave it on, is football's a business, but it's not any old business, because the customers aren't customers. The customers are fans, and you need to treat them like that. Don't just treat them as a number. You got to treat them as people. Whereas if you own, I don't know, if you own Morrison's, they are customers. They are just numbers.
Excuse me, I am actually a Morrison's loyalist. I'm on the ultras, causing chaos in aisle 5.
But if you own a football club, you've got to treat those fans with the respect they deserve. And I think that's a great place to leave it, because
at the end of the day, we all love football.
Yeah.
And we want the best for our clubs, and that's fine. And it's sad to see Bury go, because it kind of knocked us all back down to reality. And, you know, as much as we hate our team losing every week, more me usually than you at this point, and as much as I get angry after every loss, and as much as this sounds overdramatic, my life would be a little bit more empty if I lost my football club.
Yeah. So let's hope that there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel for the fans of Bury.
And this doesn't have to happen again anytime soon.
Yeah, and let's get that independent regulatory board. But thank you very, very much for listening to this slightly more morbid episode of All to Play For. We'll be back for post-match Mondays.
Will we? Or will you forget to press upload?
Well, that's reasons to listen. Reasons to listen.
Or
Check
not
back
to.
on Monday. Yeah. But yeah, thank you very much for listening. We'll see you on Monday. Goodbye.
See you later.